just pushing it like this, the leather on this toe box is crap.
You're just calling it crap.
I can already see. Look at this.
Really? This is
that.
really important.
No,
This is like...
look at this right here.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe Puma. You were listening. You were watching the Complex Sneakers podcast. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. To my immediate right, we're getting closer and closer every week. Every week we're getting closer. Mr. Matt Welty.
New digs.
For now, we go where they tell us.
Yeah.
We go where they tell us.
We don't
we're
have
in transit.
too much say.
We're in transit right now. To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunne.
Yep, here we are, a different studio. We mentioned it a few weeks back, but we're changing offices for the Complex HQ, so we're in a few different studios. Things look a little different for a few weeks. We're actually going to be on a break for a few weeks after this, but we could fill in some more of that information. But here we are, another exciting week of sneaker happenings.
What do we got?
I went on a sneaker quest this weekend. Felt like a real secret agent operative for the Yachty Nike Air Force Ones. We'll talk about that. Also, I want to hold Nike accountable as per usual. They lied to us. I know it sounds salacious, but it's true.
We got the white cement 4s. Are they super premium? Are they made of rat leather?
I think this episode I'm going to profess and re-profess my love for the black metallic 5s.
Huge JLP show.
As always, go to complex.com/shop. Tons of new items getting dropped in there daily. Always open 24 hours, but we got a special drop this week.
Yeah, this is ASICS Atmos Vandy the Pink.
Yes.
This is the Gel Nimbus 10.1. Some new ASICS collaborations. These are going to be available on the
multiple
Complex
colorways.
Shop. Yeah. I think there's a pop-up in New York this weekend, and then they'll hit the Complex shop. Nice fuzzy laces.
Vandy Complex Con regular.
Yes, absolutely. So all in the family. Vandy family.
I like the pink ones.
Pink lemonade.
Oh.
Summertime.
It feels like summer is getting there.
Yeah.
Couple days in a row. It's nice.
What's going to be your sneaker of the summer, Joe?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know.
You got a big smile on your face, Welty. You got one in mind?
Nothing yet. No, I was just wondering if there was anything.
I thought you were trolling.
No, I'm really not. I was just curious if there was anything that you kind of had on deck that you're really looking forward to burn through this next few months.
Not really. We have to see.
Can I say one thing that you have on deck that you're looking forward to putting on feet quite soon?
Is it right over here?
Yeah. Should we bring those out?
Bring them up.
Lil Yachty's next Nike Air Force One collaboration, the Nike Us Force One.
Peel back the curtain a little bit.
What?
Because not only am I going to break this out soon, I'm breaking these out tomorrow for a sneaker shopping shoot that we're
This is a
going.
good-looking shoe.
Do they bring back the feeling for you?
I like these a lot.
Very Bates era, right? Very 2006, 2005, loud, bright colors, shiny patent leather style treatment on there.
Arthur Carr Solomon's.
Right. Got to mention that. Glossy touch on them.
It's us. You see it on the tongue. You were outside amongst the us.
Yes.
You were an honorary concrete boy this weekend?
Us, yeah, that's right. Nike did another one of these sneaker quests in the city. Yachty's Nike Air Force One, pre-release, pre-heat type of thing. The shoe comes out this coming weekend, but before that, they gave away some free pairs in New York City. They had announced it prior to the weekend saying, look, we're going to drop these magazines. If you go find one of the magazines, they will have locations where you can go get a free pair of the shoes, not giving away the sneakers, but just pull up and get a free pair. So I was there early Saturday morning following the release. It felt very Jason Bourne, how it was all unfolding. It felt like I had to be undercover. So I don't know did y'all follow the drama at all that was happening with these?
I know that a location got leaked. And
not by me.
Okay.
Not by me.
By
Let's
you
just put that out there.
for once, and he had to change it on a whim. So
right.
I think
there was like a map, right?
There was a map inside the magazine.
Okay.
So
Did you get the magazine?
No, I let the people participate. A lot of times I'm there as a participant, but a lot of times I'm there just, like if there's free shoes and the general public are going to be able to get those, I don't want to take away from that. I just want to watch.
Hold on.
Document.
Give him the Nobel Peace Prize, everyone. Okay? He's not really into peace, actually, but
I'm just a documentarian.
Yes, a good Samaritan, okay?
So let me say what happened. So got up super early on Saturday, had some other stuff going on, but I was in an Uber on the way to the location, which was Uptown. I did know the location ahead of time. Nike was kind enough to share the coordinates with us, but didn't tell anybody, wanted people to be able to discover this thing by themselves. But as I'm in an Uber an hour away to Uptown to where they're going to like drop off the first chunk of magazines so people can get the free shoes, I see Yachty post on his Instagram stories that somebody leaked information as to where.
Compromised.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm talking to the Nike people like, should I still go there? What's the deal? They're like, oh, we don't have information yet. So I land there at 141st Street, and it's at a park, and there's people hanging out. You could tell sometimes when you pull up to these things that people are looking for sneakers and who are the sneaker people there. So it was very clear that somebody gave somebody else some information, and so I'm sitting there and people are asking me, do you know what's happening? Do you know? And I'm like, look, I'm here. So yes, this is the right place, but I don't know where it's going to happen next. And apparently the Nike people or the people connected with Yachty's team who were there, they left. But the resellers, or I don't know if they were resellers for sure, but some of the people who were there anticipating the drop followed them. So the Nike people leave, and there's people on city bikes and in vans, like in trucks, tailing them, trying to figure out where they're going to go next to drop the location for the magazines. And they're calling, and I got people hopping on FaceTime being like, yeah, we're right behind them right now. They're over on Morningside. We think they're going to stop here. So it was a fun mission. They switched it up. I had to go downtown. I'm down on Christie Street. I'm like circling the block. Like I said, it felt
Christie
very...
near Mulberry?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
I'm
like
right
it
at
like
home.
it was home.
That's the hardest that some people ever worked for $100.
Did you hop on a silver unicorn and bike down there?
No.
Okay.
I took the Uber. The
Uber
expense
share.
account was working that
Uber
morning.
share, of course.
But like I said, it was just like walking around the block trying to spot where, is there a Nike person over here? Is there some security over here? Could they be popping out? Yachty himself wasn't there, but then we slid over to another location. Are you doing some ASMR
Yeah,
with those?
that's pretty good.
That's some squeaky
Cheese style. Reminds me of the cheese curds from the Tillamook factory. Let me not to get too Oregon on him.
This guy, the Cortez location, you were wrong too as well.
Yes, the last Cortez, the Cortez Hirachis. Yes, I was way off on that.
This wasn't your fault though.
No, absolutely not. And I was in the right place. It was the right
Yes.
place, but they had to switch it up.
We're gonna see you popping out in these.
Yeah, if I get a pair, I'll buy a pair.
Those are nice.
I will say this about the Sneaker Quest, though, this time around.
Yeah.
It did feel quite like the Cortez one, and I feel like they have to get a little bit more inventive with how they're doing these things.
Do you think it's forced a little bit?
I just think it's getting kind of predictable. Like, you go to this location, and then Cortez did the newspaper. They're doing a magazine. I think the magazine looked cool, and again, I don't think people can or should complain too much because it's a free pair of shoes with this. You're not buying them, but it's still like this playbook is getting familiar.
It's also interesting. KITH just did a newspaper as well.
Yeah.
So it's like,
some of the same ideas floating around. It was funny too when it finally happened. So it happened at Center in Lafayette, and we'll put in some of the videos. But I'm sitting there trying to be as incognito as possible because the Nike people are like, "Hey, don't blow up the spot."
And the bush.
My
This
hair.
guy's like
my
this
hair.
guy's trying to.
No, literally, they were telling me like, "Hey, when you leave from one spot to the next, make sure people are not following you because they didn't want to blow up where it was." But so I get to the next spot, and there's a guy on a city bike there already. So somebody already knew. And there's this SUV with tinted windows, and they're kind of just, they kind of salute me. And I'm sitting there waiting, and then just all of a sudden, there's hype beasts spawning out of nowhere, trying to figure out where are we going. And then this corner is just a spot, and they all line up immediately. One of the heads of Nike security pulled one guy out of line, accusing him of being a reseller or maybe somebody who had some advanced knowledge of what was going on. A little bit of drama there, but still a fun Saturday Sneaker Quest. Like I said, not the most innovative one, but the shoes were free. People kept asking me, where should I go? I'm like, I don't know. Just figure it out.
Oh, and I have to backtrack a little bit because I didn't realize you guys said the shoes were free. So when I said $100, I was thinking in my head $100 off of the retail price.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, not that the shoes are reselling for $100 because they're actually like reselling for like $300.
Oh, really? The Yachty, the next Us Force ones? I'm a little bit surprised because I didn't know how much heat there was around this.
But they also haven't come out yet, so it's like such a
little bit of tax for that.
My favorite detail is this
the double swoosh.
Yeah, the double swoosh. I love that.
Yeah. Anytime they go extra with that.
I think they're nice. I mean, I think we talked about it already on here.
Yeah, we mentioned them recently.
Yeah, where it's like a lot of people had hated on Yachty for his first shoe, which I thought was just a fine shoe. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think that this maybe proves some of the doubters wrong.
I think so, that there's a lot more thought that goes into these things, especially when you consider the rollout I was just describing. But
especially how, and not to even like try to like, stand up for Yachty or anything after everything that happened, but
a complex con.
Yeah, how frustrating it must have been on his behalf because this shoe was
knew he had it.
He knew he had this one coming because it's just like the timeline of stuff. But not everyone, but people are saying that, you didn't do anything creative. You only just did this white and blue, which is supposed to be an homage to Rockefeller, et cetera. Then he does a triple white, which he debuted at Complex Con, which, he just wanted to upgrade the triple white Air Force One.
Sure.
And then he has this super, like, flavorful Air Force One on the way and can't just be like, no, I have a really good one coming too.
Yeah. Well, been vindicated now, at least in my humble opinion.
I'm into them. I like them.
I think this shoe's gonna hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, just personally, I like these more than the new Scarr's Air Force One.
Scarr's Air Force One.
Black Scarr's Air Force One, a sneaker we'd heard about a bit last year. There's some rumors floating around. Look, I think this is not that interesting of a sequel. I think it's a fine shoe. It's obviously just the Scarr's Air Force One that was originally white. Now it's in black. Welty, you and I were talking at the office this morning about how much this may have been motivated by Nike seeing the absurd auction where the Scarr's Air Force One sold for $120,000. If you remember, we had DJ Clark Kent on this program talking about that. RIP, of course.
I always wish Clark was here for a multitude of reasons, but like in this scenario, I wish he was here because he would do his darndest to try to prove us wrong for saying
yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the shoe. I mean, it's just like the same shoe but in black. But I do wonder, do we think that Nike saw that headline and was like, "Oh, this is a hot enough shoe"?
They did not see the headline.
Do you have any info on them? No. How big the release is going to be?
No, I have no advanced knowledge.
Well, because there was some, I think before there was, I don't want to say rumors, but other sites had posted that there was going to be a Scarr's Air Force One retro this year, and then I think they took it down because it wasn't true. But there was another Scarr's Air Force One coming out.
Yeah.
How do we think the hype is going to be? Let's be honest. The hype seems, even on the posting, like, to be honest, we were kind of late on it.
This happened at Complex's Family
Style. I saw Abdul's Prada America's Cup looking shining? Fresh. Yes.
Glistening in the summer sun?
Yeah, really glistening. And let me tell you something about Abdul. And, I know he's going to hear this.
You can't tell me anything about Abdul, but I'm interested in hearing this.
That guy lives this shit for real. Yeah. I go to say what up to him. We're outside and just saying hi. We're grabbing a slice of pizza at Lucali. The first thing he says is like, wait till you see what Scarr's has on. And I felt like saying, I'm off the clock, baby. I'm off the clock, Abdul. But some of us, always on the clock. But that's the first thing he said. Not like, oh, we have a night. And sure enough, he was the one who basically got Scarr foot and in a photo, and we posted it. But it does seem like for a shoe that the white one went for $120,000 on auction
one time at an auction.
Yeah, which is a very asterisk price next to
but also even regular ones they were going for really expensive.
They were, but I also think that shoe helped dictate the market on that shoe afterwards, right?
Wait, what? That shoe, what?
That sale, $120,000 sale helped
affect the market in general for that shoe. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But this one, it doesn't seem as crazy even off the announcement.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting test because the first one didn't actually release, right? It was a friends and family sneaker. I don't know how many pairs they made, but I'm assuming if they're doing it again that it's going to actually release, which I always like that when you didn't get to really touch the first one, the public didn't get to really participate. I think a lot of times it's justified then if the next go around is actually something that people can access.
I think it's interesting too, and I mean, I'm not the best person to ask about it, but I think that in the time since the first one, quote unquote, came out, right? I think Scarr's has, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like, I don't want to say 10 times bigger, but
massive. Great pizza, great dude.
Way bigger just culturally or just the recognition of the pizza shop than it was when the first shoe came out.
Yeah, I'd say so. I was there this weekend.
I want the black ones more than the white ones, obviously.
Of course. Are you going after these, Joe? You going to buy a pair?
Maybe. I might go after these for real.
Yeah?
I might, yeah.
You have to go after them?
I mean, we don't even know how limited they are.
Yeah, I think something tells me you'll be okay.
Are you in good standing at Scarr's Pizza?
Yes. And he's a great dude. He's cool.
Abdul will sort you out if you're not.
Yeah, but Scarr's a G. Trust me. So shouts to him and what they're doing over there.
We were saying, it's us on this one.
Here it comes.
This past
Don't think. Okay,
this past transition week, game ready. Sorry. Let me not step on the line. Go.
Yes, I know where it's going.
It's us, but this past week was a very big week for just us. Not just us. We were included in parts of it, but
hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. He's being humble. This guy to my right got invited to his first KITH after party, rubbing shoulders in private clubs. I saw him late night. Not only the new store opening, late night. Okay,
after party.
The after party. How was it to be in the New York?
Company.
You were a socialite. You were acting like you were Kylie Jenner for an
hour.
Yes, you were
in the city on a Thursday night.
I would say it was complete opposite. That's like one of those real situations where you have like the full like imposter syndrome.
Really? At the KITH grand opening,
No.
reopening of the store on
You and
Lafayette?
Premium Pete holding court. I thought it was good.
But you look over.
Wait, can I ask you? You had imposter syndrome when they did the party at the reopened KISS store on Lafayette, or at the after party?
Well, not like 50-50, but I would say that especially at the after party, because it's like I'm standing there, and there's some people that we've had on like the podcast here, but I don't know them like on a
personal tip.
I pretended like I didn't know him.
Yeah,
just kidding. I will walk
right over. You walk in, you know, there's Fab walks in. J.R. Smith walks in. He's talking to Pecos in the corner, and just
I would have assumed you've been on a group text with all those
guys. No, not at all.
Jersey
little me, I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna go say hi to them when they're you know, that sort of scenario. But it was Ronnie reopened the KISS store on Lafayette. He dropped the 2010s, which you have on feet right now, which I think is a great shoe. Go watch the unboxing I did of them on Instagram. Yeah, it was a big event. You posted the bacon, egg, and cheese given out at the release.
Yeah, I came there the next morning, early on a Friday morning, to document. Ronnie Feig was giving out free sneakers to people who were lined up. There was a long line, and he was also giving out free bacon, egg, and cheeses, or without the bacon if you prefer, just in case we're going totally halal with it. But yeah, good scene there. 2010 launch, the new KITH line.
And at the store, before the after party, I will say, the first thing Ronnie said to me is, I think he's going to get my ice cream on the Long Island store location.
You put it out there. You put it out there.
Yes.
Posted it on X.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Look
the
at the influence.
Hirschleifers.
Never let anybody tell you that this podcast does not dictate the inner workings and machinations of this industry. Like, you know, real. Are
you going to be there? Are you going to be there for the ceremonial? Them putting it on.
Maybe.
Scoop? You know, we had the video of Ronnie cutting the ribbon.
Nixon 6. He said it. Nixon 6.
Yeah. It happened. It all happened. Welty, can we talk some retail news close to your heart?
Richards.
Dick's buying Foot Locker for $2.3 billion. How does this make you feel as a man who put in hard work, hard years, blood, sweat, and tears at both?
You know, I think the main reaction that a lot of people had when it first happened is that they thought it was the other way around.
Yeah. Because if you ask the average sneaker consumer in our world, they would probably feel like Foot Locker is bigger than Dick's.
Yeah, but
Dick's is huge. Sorry. We can do this all day.
Okay.
The thing is, too, is that a Dick's Sporting Goods store does so much more in volume than a Foot Locker store does.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you are the Dick's expert.
Come on.
You are.
I worked at Dick's for like 7 months in 2006. I'm not really expert of it. It was one of my first, sneaker retail jobs. But just saying the average Foot Locker store in the mall may do $1, $2, at least back when I was working there, $1-2 million yearly sales.
Okay.
Right? Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
Like you work at Foot Locker and you're like, oh, we did $1,500 in sales today.
Yeah.
Dick's is a big Dick's Sporting Goods store is probably doing more than that an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so a big Dick's.
Yeah, big Dick's
is sorry, I don't know.
The one thing I will say, even in the South Shore Mall in Bayshore.
Is this gonna be a joke?
No.
Okay.
It's actually true. It's not a joke, I should say. Is that the Dick's in the South Shore Mall in Bayshore is the most beautiful store. It's like anchoring the mall. So I don't
beautiful
know.
Dick's.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you walk in there and you're just overwhelmed by how beautiful it is. But
overwhelmed by Dick's.
But since I've been there and throughout the years, it's like, how is this mall surviving? And anchoring the mall now is a Dick's store. And I'm wondering how kind of uniform it is across the country and how good the stores are put together. And then you start thinking about it, and it's like, yes, on one hand, it's very crazy to think that Dick's is going to buy Foot Locker. Foot Locker is like, there's so many stores that we came up on. It's like the legacy brand.
It's a staple in big box footwear for
it's what you think. It's what you think of when like sneaker shopping.
Dick's sells so much other things than just footwear.
Yeah, totally.
It's such a diversified business. I don't know. I'm not saying like, oh, that makes sense that they purchase them.
Yeah.
A lot of people were, kind of trying to speculate that because Dick's has, I feel like, tried to, dip their toe way more into the, I don't want to say limited edition sneaker game, but like the cool.
Have you noticed that?
People have mentioned that where it's like they're way more up on the release date footwear, right?
Okay.
Where like back when I worked there, they didn't really even do that. Like the store,
there was no launch calendar. They didn't have that type of product.
Like I said, like the store I worked at only sold basketball shoes as like team footwear in basketball season. They didn't even sell basketball shoes.
I go there though they have top tier, S tier dry fit,
Really?
That's what people go there for. They go like
so
the Under
good.
Armour, like spandex.
Nike Dry Fit is top tier there. Like during the pandemic, on the days where it was just like I was bored and I would just go and get like every color of like running. You would love it. You would love it.
You spend like $800.
Not $800. Not $800, but a lot. And I would
so
like
Dick's has
every
a good
color.
amount of your money.
Yes. I would just say it's also very different from what you described now, I would say. I think. The experience,
when Welty was reminiscing?
Yeah, the experience that you had ripping bongs in the back room.
No, but I also think that, and I don't know, but it also may play a difference too, being that I worked at a Dick's Sporting Goods in New Hampshire.
Rural New Hampshire.
But do you think that's still like that now?
I don't know. I don't think. I think in some states, and some people say their situation may change. I don't think you're walking into every Dick's Sporting Goods and they're selling handguns and rifles.
Yeah.
This one had like mine has a great like it's just the product is really good.
I'm surprised you spend money there. I just wouldn't think that it'd be a place you shop.
The Dick's I worked at was really big on hunting and fishing. Sort of stuff.
I will say that there's a consolidation happening in sneaker retail, and there are a handful of entities buying up all the smaller entities. JD is taking over in a big way. Snipes. You see independent boutiques struggling, and I think that anytime that these retail businesses are trending toward monopolization, it's probably a bad thing for differentiated footwear.
JD had picked up a lot of those independent retailers. Oi Polloi.
Although I don't think it makes that much of a difference here for the type of sneakers we're into, because to me it's all big box, and I don't think that the stuff that Dick's sells is too different from the stuff that Foot Locker sells, where we're going to lose anything in the process. But I still think that's not necessarily a good thing for us as sneaker consumers. I think the bigger story is just how much Foot Locker lost its way, or how Foot Locker lost its way to be able to be gobbled up by Dick's in this way.
I do think that, maybe I could be wrong, but I do think that wow.
What?
That one was the best one, though.
What?
Okay?
Go on.
That one was the best one. That was the best one.
I'm just talking about the business.
That was the most
sportswear retail. What were you saying?
That was
the
best
think
one.
Foot Locker probably has way more of like the House of Hoops-esque product.
For sure.
Where I could be totally wrong, but I don't think you're walking into Dick's and picking up a pair of foam posits.
Right. Can I give an update on the dirty triple white Air Force Ones? I know we spent 45 minutes on those.
I will say
a brief update.
I actually a brief update. I mean, you can do whatever you want, obviously. But I will say it is pretty interesting. Like the first viral week where that's all you saw and heard about, and now I don't. They came out.
Yeah.
It's
but
really
I think that
interesting
how
like
waiting to get them and wear them. But
that's a good point.
A follower of mine messaged me because they had heard our long conversation about them. Their name's Ann Bendy on Instagram, and they had said that they put them on for 15 minutes and the shoes were already starting to wear away. They showed me, and we'll add the photo in here, but basically the layer was kind of like crackling, I guess, from just like the motion in your foot or something like that. So maybe we need to give Nike more credit than we had originally as to how well these sneakers will wear away.
He was scrubbing away. All you need to do is put them on feet.
I mean, that's what Nike said from the beginning. That's what the people told us from the beginning.
It's like the total,
Nike.
I feel like we've all been maybe a little bit guilty of this. Sometimes maybe me more than others. It's like when you see a shoe on like surface level and you're like, man, this
literally surface level for these dirty
you're
triple
like,
whites.
This collaboration stinks, whatever. I don't like the shoe. I'm not talking about these shoes right here, but just in general. And then all of a sudden you hear about the backstory behind the shoe and and then you're like, man, should I have roasted it?
I mean, to be fair, with the dirty triple white Air Force Ones, we put a lot of energy, a lot of time into those before making that judgment on them. Yeah.
Before we move on, a couple of things I want to say. When we were outside of the KITH store, both of you guys were there. I think we were talking to Nems. His crew was there.
Yep.
It was when
Shout out Nems.
It was when we were
Forget Your Life.
Yes, it was when we were all together outside in front of KITH Soho, and Dub Zeros came up.
Oh yeah,
he co-signed them. He also co-signed on the comment on the original clip out. But then I don't know how it came up. It was something like how like Jordans, people are wearing Jordans again. I think someone in his crew had.
He said he's not a Jordan guy anymore.
Well, someone in his crew had black metallic 5s on, and I don't know if you guys remember. I pointed. I was like, those kind of like reinvigorated me putting Jordans on my feet. And it's funny because Zach the Basic out of nowhere on Sunday, preaching on a Sunday, just out of nowhere put in the Slack something like, man, I've been seeing a lot of black metallic 5s in the wild now that the weather's getting, and they look great every time. That shoe is going to be one of them ones that we look back.
And it's a fun sneaker because people didn't have anything to complain about The retro look, I mean, I guess I complained about them a little bit. I didn't like the extra reflective touches, but like the shoe looked good. They weren't difficult to get. There were no ways that they like ruined the retro. You know, people often feel like, oh, these changes are deviating too much from the original. It's just a shoe that I feel like everybody felt good about, whether they were buying it or just admiring them from afar. Maybe I messed up in not buying a pair.
Could be.
Maybe.
Nike lied to us.
Oh, what?
Nike lied to us, and they need to be held accountable.
Well, let's see. I'll decide.
Do you remember the Nike LeBron vote program on the sneakers app?
Oh,
in
yes.
January 2021. Nike doesn't want you to remember this, but we remember.
The ones where the ones that shouldn't have won.
Yes, they had a bracket.
This is when people wanted the purple.
He hated that.
No, people wanted the purple AZG. I just hated all.
No, people didn't want that because the people voted for the LeBron.
No, but we had thought that was going to be just run away with it.
Right.
And we all, or maybe just me, or I think a lot of people in general, had a issue with a lot of those Nike sneakers voting programs at the time because people were just voting to get their engagement up on the app and just selecting random things. And then,
I mean, I don't know if they were selecting random things.
But, well, you would see a lot of those like Air Force One brackets and whatnot, and like just the shoes that beat other shoes were just absurd.
Yeah. But if you remember when that program happened, the sneaker that won was the LeBron 10 ring ceremony PE. And Nike said, this will release at a later date. They didn't set a date exactly, but they said these will eventually release. It's been 4+ years. Where is this shoe?
How do you know that it's not on its way?
What do you mean? That's way too long to wait.
Ooh.
No, it definitely is.
And the funny thing is, like, if they weren't going to do it, they could have just rigged the voting to pick another shoe that they were going to do anyway. Because there's
how did
other
this topic come up? You just thought about it?
Somebody mentioned it on Twitter to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that never ever happened." And there were other random shoes in the bracket, LeBron 2 Beast or the purple Air Zoom Generation, that
which are awesome. The purple Air Zoom Generation are
for
awesome.
sure, and they did end up releasing those. And I'm like, if you guys weren't going to follow through on it, and you had plans to release those anyway, just lie to us and pretend like the purple Air Zoom Generation won, but instead the LeBron 10 ring ceremony won. And Welty mentioned, everybody was like, how did this sneaker win? And you never even made it. So why did we do this? And what happened to all this?
I'm not the biggest LeBron head, or like LeBron historian or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do know a decent amount about his sneakers, and that's one of those shoes that if you had asked me right now, what's the LeBron 10 ring ceremony?
Yeah.
And I didn't even remember that that's the shoe that had won the vote back.
Yeah, because why would it?
But if you had just asked me what that shoe was, I would have told you, I don't know.
Yeah. Shoe that he wore opening night after winning the championship the previous year. But it's just like...
Definitely a deep cut for that to win. I don't know.
10 isn't a shoe that it seems like there's really any plans to bring that shoe back. I was saying to you earlier, it's like when they do retros, it's like you have to have access to the molds or recreate them. It feels like they would still have to have access to the LeBron 10
I agree. There
molds.
has to be a good reason.
But
why this isn't happening.
If they're not have any plans to do a LeBron 10
in general,
then maybe Nike's just like, hey, we're not going to bring this shoe back because we're not doing 10s right now. We're not going to put all the resources into like re-engineering that shoe.
Yeah, I mean, while we're here overstating the influence that we have in the industry, could we say that someone in Beaverton will watch this and put this in motion? Are we going to take any credit if the shoe actually comes out at this point?
I'll take credit, but I'm not.
We're gonna ask the question. We're gonna go digging.
Take credit, but I'm not here to press them to do it because, in all honesty, it's just like I just don't care if that shoe comes back or not.
I mean, look, it's funny because I don't care either, but I care about the principle of like, why did you make us use this app and participate in this bracket and be engaged with this thing over a course of weeks and make people like us mad about the shoes?
They did the best Co-JP dunks of all time, and the shoe that won like got sold at Journeys in the U.S. So,
but at least there they didn't lie to us and not fulfill a promise. You're not offended by this, Joe?
No, it's just very funny because you seem so offended. Meanwhile, it took someone to bring it up for you to remember this.
It's the principle.
Well, let's be honest.
I'm not gonna buy the LeBrons if they do come out, but I still think it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
If supposedly tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of people voted that they wanted the shoe to come back.
You know what we always say?
What?
Lying is a sin. We always do it. So,
also, just brief because there's not too much to say on it, but I want to say it's cool that the woman Vanetta Carter is getting her own Air Max, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
She's done a lot for the Air Max 95, and I think that's really awesome how she's styled the shoes and kind of built this kind of...
She was the first one with the orange Air Max 95s, right? Her and Corey.
Doing the mirror shot up close on like a squat position or whatever. It was she just did cool styling of the shoes.
Yeah. Did that sell you on the orange 95, or because you were very much anticipating the orange 95?
I love orange 95s anyways, but I just thought it was just a cool way to like photograph the shoe. You know?
Speaking about selling people on shoes, wasn't there an inquiry?
Well, I'm sorry, I have to.
For people, listen, hold on real quick. Mr. Beast, I heard, and don't hold me to it, heard Mr. Beast spends a lot of money on his thumbnails. We don't spend that much money on our thumbnails.
No, we just come up with it on a random Thursday afternoon.
But thumbnails are important. There are things that are present on thumbnails.
Yeah. So this past week, we had the conversation about the unheard of Piggy Runners, the Addy Star cushion from Unheard of, the sneaker boutique in Cincinnati. And we put the sneaker in our thumbnail because we talked about a lot of different things that week, and that was one of the bigger topics that we spent some time on here. Welty, you were talking about how annoyed you were of having to talk about the shoe, even though I feel like you talk about it more than anybody. Anyways, this weekend, after the episode comes out, Noah Callahan-Bever, longtime Complex employee, current Complex creative exec, he screenshotted me. He sent me the thumbnail, and he said, "What sneaker is this?" So I just think it's quite funny that you were like frustrated by having to talk about it once or twice online, and then it turned into a bigger thing, and now even more people are talking about it.
I wasn't frustrated about having to talk about it. I was frustrated by feeling that getting pressured by the owner of the store to talk about it so it could somehow in turn be used to help sell the shoe.
Well, unfortunately,
it seems like
that was all.
It seems to be working because,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
So Noah texted me over the weekend on a Sunday. He's asking me, "What shoe is this? How can I buy them?" And yeah, I hate to tell you, but the legend is only growing. And then also, I was on the phone with my dad, and he mentioned the pink shoes.
Oh, really? Forget Noah. Brendan Dunne Sr.?
Yeah,
Brendan Dunne Sr.?
Exactly.
Imagine you were a junior. I can't see him being a junior. I can't say, hey, JR's coming to the Magic card gathering. It just doesn't look like it.
No, but that's a real thing that happened. Should we talk about the sneakers we're wearing?
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay. I I have the Works Out Nike Air Max 95
Team Early.
on.
Let me see those.
Korea
Put them
exclusive.
up.
Yeah,
Put
we were
them
talking
up.
about these last week, and now.
Let me examine these.
No, we got them.
Are they lower than a regular Air Max 95?
No, this is big bubble build. They're not the most comfortable. They don't have the amount of ventilation or breathability that you would want on a 95, and it was a warm summer weekend, as we mentioned, and I was wearing them throughout, and didn't feel great. I've broken them in a little bit more, but I like when somebody can switch up a shoe this much and do something that really changes it.
I love that suede toe box.
It's not suede.
What is
I
it?
actually don't know.
You know, I have a polo blazer like this. That maybe. Is
it velour?
It's not. It looks like it though. It's like lenticular.
I like
almost.
it.
Look, I'm not trying to sell you on the shoe.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't care for those as much just because of the swoosh.
You said in the comments that this was the worst 95 this year.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought you were on your hating shit. But then I was like, you know what?
All the 95s this year have been so good. Maybe there's one that came out that I don't remember.
But we're talking about the upper echelon of 95s.
Yeah.
And you might be right. Because they're not better than Neon 95s.
No.
They're not better than the Corte.
No. Orange. No.
Orange didn't come out yet.
Well, not yet.
Are they better than the MoMAs?
Here, I was waiting. You were burying the lead. I knew you were going to rile him up.
I've been trying.
They're not.
Pink foams?
No.
They're not better than pink.
And they're not better than the MoMAs. But
I'm going to sell my MoMAs.
I will tell you.
Tell us.
That velvet, that velour, whatever that toe box is.
Big JLP shoe?
It's not velvet.
What I would say about these is the swoosh actually makes it not look like a 95, which I think this suffers. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Literally from here, it doesn't look like a 95. When you just did that, the sole, obviously, but that's the problem I have with it.
They look almost more like, and now that I'm putting it all together, they look much more like the Nike Air Max 96 2.
Okay. It's funny you say that they don't look like a 95 because I was putting together a story.
That was a JLP shoe.
Yeah, he wore those. I was putting together a story about these sneakers and breaking down some of the background of the store Works Out in Korea, who designed them and why they made them look the way they did. Yeah. And I kept having to correct myself because I kept calling it an Air Max 97 because there's those reflective bits that kind of circle the shoe that remind me a lot of the Air Max 97. And I feel very much like you do, Joe, of like, this doesn't look like a 95.
It doesn't. Even right now, it still doesn't.
I feel like sometimes there's shoes that they're able to take a silhouette and transform it in a good way, right? Where it's like it doesn't really look like the silhouette normally, but they did something different to it
Yeah.
in that way. But where it's like I feel like
They did too much, is what you...
slapping the swoosh on the side. I'm not talking about the materials on the shoe or any of that. It's just the swoosh on the side ruins it for me.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I'm not here to try and convince you.
I'm not going to get those.
Right. I don't care. What are you wearing, Joe? Sorry, we just did 20 minutes on my sneakers.
KITH 2010. New silhouette.
Yeah.
From RF and the guys and the girls. And everyone.
That colorway,
All of them.
That colorway is the best out of the two.
Nice looking shoe.
You saw my guy, Uncle June. Not from The Sopranos. Junior.
Oh.
You saw my guy,
who?
Uncle June, with the fits he's gotten off.
I got a chance to meet Junior at the store opening on Friday.
Me and G in the same jacket, though.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle June, I had the KITH Tokyo denim jacket on. Also, it's
Hate to
very
see
funny. No, not hate to see it. I remember being in college, UConn, a little, talking about UConn history. I gave the speech. We know that, but at commencement. But I remember specifically, it's really crazy. Sometimes you say that I have a photographic memory. I do remember reading a XXL at alumni dorm, and it was a sidebar Jim Jones, I think, about fashion. And he literally in the interview was like, once someone showed up wearing the same jacket I was wearing, and I threw it out on the spot at the event. Which
Is that how you felt?
no, but I always think like that. I always think like that. No, I didn't throw it out.
Did you guys take a photo matching?
No. And shouts to Gene because he kept the trench coat on. I thanked him
To
for
not
that.
embarrass you?
It would have been a little rough.
For him or for you?
What do you got on?
Just doing nothing too crazy. These are Star Cow Sauconys. I wore the tan pair of these when we did that Monkey Tilt episode.
The famous monkey tail episode.
A lot cooler in here than it was in that bus. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I'm just looking for a pair of shoes that have a little bit of orange on it because I wanted to wear this hat with it. So.
Oh, okay. A heavy matching king? We salute a heavy matching
Break
king.
it down the,
Okay.
break down the science.
Okay.
That's all. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all? Are we out of here? No.
No. There's a big drop happening. There's a classic drop happening.
But not a big JLP shoe.
Not a big JLP shoe, but a lot of times you guys come at me like, you throw that word around too much.
What word?
Iconic.
Classic.
Classic. Okay, I said iconic. You think I say classic too much?
No,
Okay.
no, no.
What's worse in your opinion, iconic or classic, to use to describe a sneaker? If it's not truly either of those.
This is both, by the way.
Classic happens too much.
Okay.
Classic happens more, I think, incorrectly than iconic does. Although, I don't. You don't let me start talking about semantics.
Don't get him in his wordsmith bag.
Yeah.
But you have a special pair of
But
shoes
we have a shoe that checks both classic and iconic terminology.
For sure. Yes, for sure. Joe, do you want to open these up?
Yeah.
White Cement Air Jordan 4. These are releasing this weekend, May 24th, for $225. I think this is the best this
Shouts to
sneaker has
Sneak
ever
Geeks.
looked.
Didn't you use the smell? No smell on them. Shouts to Sneak Geeks. Remember, we had them on?
Yeah, of course.
Legend. Put the
Crypto
thumbnail. Yes.
Big dog.
Yeah, no smell.
We borrowed these from JD Sports. We're sending them back. Thank you for letting us hold them for a couple days.
You know, it's a shoe, obviously.
It's a shoe.
But it's a shoe made famous.
Full stop.
Shoe made famous by Michael Jordan, of course, but also shoe made famous by Spike Lee.
Yep.
They're the shoes worn by Bugging Out.
Giancarlo Esposito.
In Do the Right Thing, where he
Scuff.
gets ran over by the white guy with the Larry Bird shirt.
Topical. Knicks Celtics.
Yo!
Yeah.
So there are a couple little touches I want to point out on this version of the sneaker. First of all, I'll say that there are some Jordan retros that we talk about on here where they have never been done properly. I want to get into the Grape Jordan 5 when those come out because we've never had a Grape Jordan 5 with the Nike Air Retro. But there are certain Jordans where they keep getting better and that's great, but also there were already good versions of them. So the last version of this White Cement Air Jordan 4 dropped in 2016. I thought that was a pretty good pair, and the 2016 was miles ahead of the 2012 version. The 2012 still had Jumpman on the back.
Yeah.
The speckling didn't look quite right. The gray is quite off, in my opinion.
But that was peak of Jordan retro madness.
Yeah. And before we really got great Jordan retros. I think this is a great Jordan retro. Nike Air on the back, one detail. And like I said, there are small changes on this. I don't think it's a huge step forward, but there's some speckling. Joe, can you look at the heel on these? So on top of the Nike Air logo on the back, they actually applied the speckling to the logo, there's like a little raised treatment. That's one of the things that apparently was on the original that was missing from some of the retros that they've done correctly this time around. Also, I like that you can feel the speckling on the midsoles here. Let's get the other shoe out.
Yeah,
We gotta pass these
don't be
over to
shy.
Welty.
Don't be shy. Oh, the tag. Love the tag.
Hang tag on or hang tag off?
I still have my Black Cement 5 hang tag on.
Do you wear the Black Cement
Yes.
5s with the hang tag?
Yes.
I gotta say, I've never worn a pair of Jordans with the hang tag, and maybe that's because
I
I'm a
usually
nerdy
don't.
white
I think
guy.
I wore when I got those white cement 3s.
I usually
wore it
don't,
the first
but-
time with the hang tag, but then
The
second
thicker
time I
plastic hang tag.
Yeah, I think I just felt stupid.
It's us.
These shoes also retroed in 1999.
Right.
And that's for a lot of collectors that I know we've spoke about it on here before. Those 1999 / 2000 Air Jordan 4s
Yeah.
are, to them, it's like the peak. It's like the pinnacle of Air Jordan retro.
Right.
And I had made that vertical video a while back talking about, you know, the shoes from that era. I remember we were talking about it on here, and someone left a comment saying at that point, they're like, you couldn't really consider those shoes retros because they were literally just reproducing the original shoes.
What? Now I'm really gonna get into semantics. How is that not a retro?
Because it wasn't now what we know retro as, where like almost like you're going back in time and trying to like put the puzzle pieces together to recreate the shoe.
You're saying that piece of feedback was saying, look, they still had all the elements available 10 years later. I don't know if they had all the stuff.
That's what someone had said in the comments, where they were saying
People say a lot of stuff in the comments.
Strike.
But the shoes were so close to the originals.
99 versus 89.
Yeah, that in my head I'm like, that kind of makes sense.
Okay. I will say 2012
How
was
many
the low
years
point.
later? 10?
10.
No.
I don't think so, because they weren't necessarily planning to bring these things back. I mean, they didn't even call it the Air Jordan 4. It was just Air Jordan. So I don't know if I totally buy into that, but I will say that I did speak to a couple real diehard Jordan collectors. I like to defer to those people a lot when it comes to rating or ranking these sneakers, and they were saying that this is a really accurate retro.
Something funky with the leather on this one.
Well, here he goes. QC. On the spot QC.
You know when it's
You're not impressed with the leather?
No, you know how like sometimes when the white leather gets like that bubble in it,
Yeah.
you can see it, right? You see it right there.
Tiny bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost to our conversation earlier. There's like a vein going through the shoe.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Maybe they'll sell them at Dick's.
Oh, God.
Okay.
But people were making comments about the leather. I saw on your unboxing video today where people are like, man, if the leather looks that bad, then
Yeah, you know what? I thought the leather was going to look better, and I'm not that impressed with it right out of the box. And this is a sneaker I've purchased
look at that.
a few times before, and for some reason, even though a lot of the feedback was instant classic, must cop, 2 pairs, this just didn't move me that much when I open up the box. And I don't know if that's just a sign of me getting older or us being really spoiled right now with Jordan retros, but I just didn't feel that excited, or I don't feel that excited holding them.
What did Sean Collard say about the shoe?
Yeah, I talked to Sean Collard. I
Yeah,
want to read
good
you
dude.
his feedback. He said, overall shape of the toe, netting space between the top of the midsole and the bottom of the wing is wider, etc., all closer to 89 than even the 99. So he was saying that to him, this is the best version of the white cement Jordan 4 that's ever released.
Just man, just pushing it like this, the leather on this toe box is crap.
You're just calling it crap.
I can already see. Look at this.
Really?
Look
This
at
is
that.
really important.
No,
This is like...
look at this right here. You can see like where like, you know how sometimes on the toe when you wear the shoe, it like the lines come up.
Yeah.
I can already see where it's forming on this shoe.
Did Sean say anything about the quality?
So he felt like the leather on this was better than it's ever been.
Interesting.
I haven't spent enough time with an 89 pair to make that call. He's definitely a guy who was around back then, but I don't think these look that nice
am
in
I
person.
It's
tripping?
a little tough with the shadow, so I can't.
Man.
You want to give him the bend test? Like bend them up and see if they fold and crease?
Just look at.
We do have to give them back to JD Sports. Let's not crease them up too much. Although if the shoes can't withstand a Welty squeeze, then maybe they're not worth the $225. Oh, he's a strong guy.
That is true.
I just I don't want to see. I'm coming into this wanting to really like these,
them?
like
Okay.
these, because this is a shoe that people might not believe it or whatever, but it's like this is a shoe that I would actually love to wear.
Yeah. Would you go out and spend $225 on it?
I can admit it, probably not.
Yeah.
Right. But
Do these have the same quality as the SBs that they were saying that all the 4s are going to have, or no?
I don't think they have those shape changes that the SB Jordan 4 has.
I thought they had said that a lot of the 4s going forward
That's
were
what- yeah.
were the same shape.
I don't know who they is, but I don't think Jordan Brand ever
Okay.
said that this is that shape. I think on the SB4s, maybe the forefoot airbag is removed. I don't think they would do that on all.
I think
the
maybe,
fours.
and I could be totally wrong. I think almost Clark had said it on the sneaker of the
That's
year.
what- that's-
on the sneaker
yeah.
of the year panel, where he's like, that's why that shoe was so good, because it changed the way that they were making fours.
They did on that one, but I don't know if they did permanently, and I would want to know from the Jordan developers and designers before we confirm that for sure.
So you're saying that the leather isn't good on your words are going to travel because there's going to be a lot of people.
I just don't think
the outsized influence of this show.
No, I just think that, you know, because it's like the last Jordan retro that I got was those reimagined white cement 3s, and I know it's the 3s and 4s are kind of a similar shoes, different leather, of course, but the leather felt much better on that sneaker than this one.
Okay.
I know it's different because that's like a little like pebbly.
Yeah.
But man, this just doesn't.
Are you seeing any bleed on the tongue? One of the people who responded to my first photo of them felt like the flight tab here, that the red dye on the Jumpman affected the fabric around it and made it a little bit pink. Are you seeing that on there? I'm not really seeing that.
No, there is
Wait a
like a
minute.
little bit on here, but that's just like the corner
Oh,
edge.
I was going to say, yeah.
No,
Okay,
I don't.
that's not what he's talking about. That
I
looks like stitching.
I don't see that. It's just this leather on here reminds me of when we used to have, like, remember the Air Max Right?
Yeah.
The Air Max LTD.
Unforgettable shoe.
Yes.
Mall sneaker, triple platinum.
LTD, yep.
But it was that really, it had that really, the all white leather had that really
Yeah.
crap white leather on it where you wore it. It was like even worse than the Air Force One leather where it would just wrinkle up.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like.
I'm going to give you some more feedback. This is from MJo23Dan, another hardcore Jordan collector guy who's not afraid to be critical about Air Jordans. He said, the new shape and feel is great. Leather needs a good break-in after some wears. I stayed true to size considering the pinky toe issues on past Jordan 4s. There's a good amount of wiggle room, but I'm curious how it would be if I were to go down a half size. Probably wouldn't have a pinky toe left, so I'll probably stay as is. So MJo23Dan saying he likes them a lot. Sean Collard saying he likes them a lot. Matt Welty saying he's not impressed.
I'm not.
Yes.
I didn't come in here anything. I'm just literally, you're giving me a shoe. And
That's what we do, baby.
Yeah, just trying to tell everyone what I'm seeing on it, because, man, these are a shoe that they just look, just aesthetically, they look great, right?
Amazing, classic,
And I
iconic,
always
all the words.
I always used to have this conversation. I remember, if you had to pick between one or the other, would you have great shape on a shoe with crap materials, or great materials with crap shape?
Oh, this is hard. I've never thought about this. I guess I would want the shape to be perfect because I am such a consumer that if the materials were that bad and I loved the shoe and I thought the shape was perfect, then I could wear it, mess it up, and buy it again. Joe, how do you feel about this?
I would
this
agree
is a
with
tough
you.
question.
I'd agree with you because I also think most
You
of
want
my,
it to look right from like afar almost?
yeah, most of my toe boxes are
Crunched up.
yeah, most of my toe boxes are
I want to ask you this. Welty, you're talking about questions of this versus that. So, white cement Air Jordan 4 or grape Air Jordan 5?
those.
This shoe is just so wearable.
But
White
here's the
cement
thing.
4. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
White cement Air Jordan 4 or white cement Air Jordan 3?
Tough one.
Welty?
If you had to maybe just on surf, I don't know, man. Out of the past two retros, I would much rather have the 3s than this one. But part of me, this shoe just looks like sitting up on a shelf, right?
Yeah.
Where it's I'm
Beauty.
not
Stance, yeah.
These
aggressive,
look,
techie.
it's such an awesome shoe.
Yeah.
And you guys know, is like everyone's like, oh, Welty doesn't like Jordans, and one of those first Jordans that really made in recent times that made me go and want them again were the Union, the Guava 4s.
Yes.
So it's like for me,
What you got?
which ended up getting, and the one I also ended up getting too were those black lasered 4s as well.
Did I buy those? No, I didn't buy those.
Not a classic.
Not a classic. Wait, see, I disagree. That is a classic.
I just
The
try and
black
use that
laser
word as
4s?
sparingly as possible.
Oh, the black laser 4s are a classic to me.
I think in that scenario, it's much better to call that shoe a classic than
got
it
him.
is to call it iconic.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Maybe
But
not iconic. Classic.
Can I
though.
ask you two more on this?
Go ahead.
Okay. White cement Air Jordan 4 or black metallic Air Jordan 5?
Black metallic. I was going to say I wanted to bring the conversation to this year.
Yeah.
Bred Jordan 1s.
Or white cement 4s?
Yeah.
I think the tough part for me on that is that I just feel like this silhouette is just so much more wearable
Than
Black
the
five.
Jordan 5 or
than
the Jordan 1?
No, then in my opinion, almost both.
Yeah.
Right? Just because the cut of the shoe, like the height on it,
Yeah.
and the build on it. So it's like the 5's like higher, the tongue pops out more. Not that it's unwearable or anything, but this just feels like your pants just sit on it better. No?
I know what you mean.
The inverted piping of the Jordan 5 black metallic
With the extra reflective?
is what makes it everything. It's what makes it stand out from just a regular retro of a Jordan 5 for this year. I always joke to you like, oh, you're getting really into the details. You're nerding out over the details. Hand up. Put your hand up when you are being hypocritical. My hand's up. Because that piping, that reverse piping, and so much so that when I got the shoe, I was like, this looks different than regular black metallic 5s.
Yeah.
And then I went on complex.com/sneakers, of course, and that was like a design choice that they did.
Right.
And to me makes all the difference. I know we talk about the speckle on the heel. That black metallic 5 is the best Jordan of the year.
Wow. Better than the Bread Jordan 1? Is it that much better than the Bread Jordan 1 that you're willing to say definitively that it's
Yes, I like the Bread
You're a
Jordan 1.
little sheepish. Are you certain?
No, I like the Bread Jordan 1.
Black
and
5s
a lot
are
of
better?
people agreed with this side of the, when you were like, the Bread Jordan 1 came and went last week, and we were like, no, it's because no one could get them. I'm saying black metallic 5 better than the Bread Jordan 1 this year.
And I
for
like,
me,
I like what you're talking about with the detail because, like I said, with this sneaker, not that Jordan Brand needs to, and maybe it's frustrating to work there because different people are telling you different things. Change them, don't change them. But like one thing I will say about this shoe is there's not that much that I know about, and I asked one of the people who helped make the retro that separates them from previous pairs. We talked about the subtle detailing with the speckle on the back. Like this can still be the best white cement Jordan 4 ever, but it can still be not that much different from the last version, which was already pretty good.
What's crazy is, and this just came to my mind, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because we're looking at the same shoes, where it's like the leather on this shoe, and I'm looking, our engineer right now is wearing a pair of white leather Sambas, and I feel like a lot of people say the Sambas, for what they cost, it's like a really good price point on what the quality of the shoe was. And I almost feel like the white leather Sambas have better quality leather than this Air Jordan 4.
You just pulled that out of your ass.
No, I'm not.
Come on. That's unfair.
What?
How?
We might have to get Roseanne Bill to chop these up.
All of a sudden you think you're a StockX authenticator? When's the last time you wore a white Samba?
I've held the shoe in hand.
When?
You go to a sneaker store.
I didn't ask that. I asked when.
Put it on your feet. Shoes are for your feet, not your hands.
You did not a comparative analysis, an analysis of the white leather on the Samba. You said
the last time I wore a pair of Sambas was like
back in New Hampshire at the Dick's.
Was friggin' like 1996. So
that's a bold claim. When's the last?
But all my friends had Sambas. Like I literally used to hang out with people who exclusively wore Sambas, and the leather. And I'm not to say Adidas versus this.
We're talking about it right now, though.
Welty's holding up the white on white Air Force One.
The leather on the white on white Air Force One right now looks better than the leather on this.
Really?
Yes. Look at these two together.
Will you pass it to me, Joe?
You pass it?
Yes.
Look at the toe boxes.
No, the white on white Air Force One has that like.
Oh, we got a little difference of opinion.
No, but look how like the Cement 4, like it almost like crumples up.
I don't think it's as bad as you're making out to be. Just my personal opinion, and people are gonna get mad on this because they're gonna say we're not leather experts, and people were all upset over the Bread Jordan 1 analysis that we did. But
I've just seen like, in my opinion, like selling so many people's shoes over the years.
That was 2 decades ago.
I'm
kidding. I'm just kidding.
But it was.
I'm just saying, like I've seen so many shoes over the years where it's like, man, the leather on that like wasn't the best, you know, taking it out of the box, and then seeing the person come back in a month and the shoe just looks
folded up,
and that's just the feeling I'm getting from this. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
But that's the feeling that I'm getting from this.
Do you want me to put them on my feet and run a 5K in them? Like,
like home run doing another run?
Go back to the same
home run doing a
plan.
Jordan 4 run?
Me running. What about me playing basketball in these? That'd be even more embarrassing.
An absolute disaster.
Can I go on a tangent real quick? Because Welty mentioned Sambas, and there's a Samba story that I want to bring up to y'all.
Go ahead.
The leopard print Adidas Sambas that were huge.
The ones we talked about on here.
Yeah, big inline hit.
Yep.
Foot Locker's ordering a bunch more pairs. They're going to be everywhere. Do you know there's a bastardization of these? I saw 2 pairs this weekend. I sent y'all a text message right now. Could you open up this photo? I don't know what this women's footwear brand is. It's called Matisse. and they literally made.
Oh, these are
they
exact.
made a diet.
These are exact.
I can't even.
These
say,
are we got the Cheetah Sambas at home. These are exact.
I can't even say he was wearing these because it's somebody I know. But I saw one person in the city over the weekend with them on, and I wanted to snap a photo, and then I met up with another person who had them on feet, and I was like, wow, they went to work quick. The diet Sambas, the diet leopard Sambas. How egregious is that?
That looks exact.
You
That looks
you
exact.
can't say that they did not. And I'm also impressed to some extent that they came up with it that quick and knocked it off and just pumped them out there. But yeah, people are out here buying diet Sambas.
Exact. You didn't answer. Do you think these are better than the Black Metallic 5? No, hold on. Let's just rank.
Okay.
Let's rank.
Okay.
Bread 1, Black Metallic 5,
White Cement 4.
Would you say those are the big 3 of 2025?
Yes. So we're
far.
talking Jordan.
So far.
We're talking in this year, the
Yes.
versions that released this
Yes.
year. What are the order of those 3? For me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, see, he doesn't like when the tables
feel
are
like
turned.
you're- I
He
feel
wants to
like-
put the pressure on
No, I
Nike
feel
lying
like-
about the LeBron. We put the
I feel like you're putting bread number 1
Why?
because how much. I know you always
He
say
was part of the rollout, you mean?
you always say you always feel not that people convince you, but when you do something on a shoe,
Yeah.
You
When
like-
I talk to the people who helped
you start to
design and put
believe the
together
hype
the shoe, yeah,
around the
that's
product.
Which
totally
is
true.
totally
I'm guilty of that.
yeah, but totally an organic feeling.
And also, like, you know, everybody else who makes sneaker content doesn't actually talk to the designers or do any of the work.
but I'm saying- but I'm
Actually
saying
what it
that's
is.
why-
55 minutes in,
But
a
I'm
little
saying that's-
shot was coming. You know.
But I'm saying that's why I would think that you would put the bread as number
Because
1.
I knew-
because you like believe this.
I know
you
more
believe
about
the
what went
story
into
on the
Yeah.
retro.
This is all great, but let's see.
Okay. Like I said, these didn't make me feel anything. The White Cement Jordan 4, when I brought them out the box, didn't make me feel much. So I'm not putting those number 1. Also, I didn't buy the Black Metallic 5s
Boo.
because I did feel like I did the extra. I said it on the show. The extra reflective wasn't doing that much for me, even though every person I've seen wear them, they made them look good. So I guess I'm gonna put. Well, you called it. Bread Jordan 1 is number 1. I'm gonna put the White Cement 4 as number 2, and I'm gonna put the Black Metallic 5s as number 3. But I really want great 5s. Honestly, maybe people feel like those don't belong in the same conversation as these, and maybe I won't feel anything when I pull those out of the box. But Great 5 to me is going to be
Great
right
5
up
is
there.
great shoe, but it's just I don't think it's not that you should wear these every day.
Yeah.
But there's something about
You could,
some of these OG Air Jordans that
yeah, in the white, black, and red colorways.
Yeah, where it's like, man, you could just throw these on with anything. And I feel like aside from what Nike did with the shoe and what Michael Jordan did with the shoe and all the marketing and all the cultural references,
Yeah.
just the simpleness and wearability of this sneaker and black cements, etc. I feel like that's part of what's made it endure for all these years.
So wait, does Welty have to do the exercise?
You know
Okay,
mine,
Joe,
right?
You do the
Black
exercise.
Metallic 5, 1. Bread, Jordan 1, 2. These 3.
White Cement 4 is number 3
Yes.
in that top 3. Big 3. Welty. Big 3 Air Jordan retros released in 2025 so far.
Just like what I would want to wear out of the
Just
three.
ranking.
or
Yeah,
what do you
yeah,
think
yeah.
is-
Personal, yeah,
favorite.
personal.
as much as I kind of dislike the leather on this one,
Okay.
I would like to wear this one the most.
That's number 1.
This is the one that if you had
Wow, I didn't think you were going to say that after this,
No,
this
but if you had-
diatribe, this tirade
no,
you
but if
went
you would have
against the
set all
leather.
3 out in front of me and said, "Hey, you're
First day of school is tomorrow.
we're going out to watch.
Chatterbox Elementary.
We're going to watch some college football or a UFC fight tonight.
Okay.
Go
What-
to the rodeo. Okay.
What do you want to wear?"
Yeah.
And this is just me. I think the Black Metallic 5, the retro, not that it's a better accurate retro, but I think those are a much more appreciated shoe this year than the
Love 'em.
Bread 1.
Agree.
I
Agree
can't
with
really
that.
picture myself wearing the 5s just because me personally, I don't think it was a shoe that I would just put on my feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could picture myself maybe wearing the Bread 1, so I almost want to put those over that, but I
Yeah.
do think the Black Metallic 5 is a better shoe this year than the Bread Jordan 1.
Okay.
So is that 2? Black Metallic 5?
Yeah.
We all have different rankings.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about this sneaker too is that, like, it's not a new build or anything. There's not some huge jump that I know of that makes it as interesting as let's say the Bread Jordan 1, where again, maybe I'm falling victim to the storytelling and maybe I'm buying into the hype of like Jordan Brand telling us all these things they did to rebuild the shoe, but I don't think, and I don't have any info about them rebuilding this Jordan 4 in the same way, so it's not as special to me, even though it is a S tier Jordan on every level. Do you remember even just like small details, like the 2012 pair. Do you remember the stamp that they had? You remember that Easter egg on the 2012 Air Jordan 4 white cement? You guys remember that?
No.
Inside, right here, like inside the throat or like where the laces go, there was a deboss thing that said 2012. The words 2012. Do you remember that on the inside of the laces here? Just a special detail. I don't know if it was like a anti-counterfeiting thing, but I wish we had something like that made this Jordan 4 feel a little bit more special. But I still think, in my opinion, a great shoe.
Think these are going to do well? How many pairs out? A
A
ton? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I hope that they made a lot. I believe that they made a lot.
Okay.
I believe that it's a shoe that a lot of people will be able to enjoy.
Like there should
maybe
be
even double
there
up.
should be definitely over 500,000 pairs.
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. Should we talk about Tokyo Air Jordan 5s possibly coming back? This is a rumor that's floating around. We're not totally sure that it's happening just yet, but Z Sneakerhead Z put it out there. Is that right?
The vault coming open.
I thought you were doing Goatsy. I don't know what you were doing there.
Wow.
I don't know what the hand signal was.
You have the really like filthy references this week.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Tokyo 5s. Do we need the sneaker to come back around? Will there be any mystique attached to it if it comes back around?
I
kind
feel
of
like
think
it's
so.
too much of a deep cut.
There was a lot of talk on the internet over the weekend about like, oh, is it not a grail anymore if they retro it? I feel like you can't really take away what the shoe initially did. Like that's ever cemented in history. You can't rewrite the history on the shoe.
Yeah.
It was a grail for the longest time.
It was, but it was also in like the trophy case. If you went and there was 10 shoes in the trophy case, right? A bunch of grails, a bunch of high hyped sneakers. It wasn't the one that anyone went to first.
The Tokyo Jordan 5.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was cool, but like you go to the Stadium Goods case or the Flight Club glass case, Tokyo 5 isn't. It's not the one amongst all those crazy grails.
It's definitely shoes of a certain era that have over time, I don't want to say that the shoe doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But they didn't continuously appeal to maybe a younger generation who
I would agree with that.
Who need to be into these things for the legacy of the shoes to continue.
I think one of the things about the Tokyo Air Jordan 5 too is that like and maybe there are a lot of sneakers that would end up with this description if you really peeled back the layers, but it just was one of those shoes that was like special because it was limited and it felt like that was about it. I don't know how well that sneaker would have stood up, and maybe we'll figure out how well it would stand up if it does actually have a general release this year.
Well,
but it was just like, it's rare, and that's the story.
I had looked a little bit, into it because did a little vertical video on it, nothing too much, but because the shoe dropped in 2011, it was there for the grand opening of the Tokyo Air Jordan store, Tokyo 23.
It's got the embroidery on the heel, special logo.
That's cool,
but
that's
the
really cool
shoes
part of it.
Only released, you have to think about it like it's almost going through a time machine. The shoes only released in that store. There was no global release. There was no sneakers app. There was none of that. They only dropped in that store. So it's like for people to be able to have to get them in an era before StockX where you could just go online and just buy your size. You had to put in considerable legwork to get yourself
if
that
they
shoe.
didn't float up on Flight Club or something like that. It wasn't automatic that there were going to be pairs out there that you could buy.
You had to know someone who could get the shoes and get them to you, or like went through the channels of like someone like, we had Dre Croatian Style on here, someone who was, going to Japan to buy up sneakers and sell them to the States.
Some sneaker shopping trivia. Do you know who bought the Tokyo 5s? The only one to ever buy a pair? I feel like you might get them. I knew it though.
It's not Neymar?
No.
Can you give us a hint?
It was during pandemic at Soul Stage. Shouts to Soul Stage. We saw the car go through the store window. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know.
I have no idea.
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine bought the Tokyo Jordan.
Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Random,
yeah. We got to reach out to him for comment then.
Yeah, we
How
may.
does he
in a
feel
few
about
weeks. I'll
he's
ask
coming
him
back
maybe.
around?
I know, Joe, you were big on when Drake wore that shoe courtside next to Kevin Hart.
Which one?
Tokyo 5s.
How was I big? How? I want to know.
2015. I feel like you're
What, spotted?
Yeah, Mr. Celebrity Sneaker Stalker.
Yeah, but
himself.
but you can't say I was big on it. Like, how do you even?
Are those not two people that are? Like...
No, that would be a good spotted post. Yes, but
That didn't make
big.
your week when it happened.
No, I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know either. I just
There was
You
a
know
column.
what, we've
There was a
talked about
column,
this.
Celebrity Sneaker Stalker, which we know.
No, we've
Chelsea
talked about
and-
Drake
but
wearing
like
the shoe.
you saying I was
Don't
big
tell
on
me
it.
that
like,
I'm just like
no,
pulling something random up. That was like
no,
one
but
of the-
you saying I was big on it. Like,
here,
oh
we're here.
wow,
We're here.
This is why I do
I feel
it.
like we definitely posted on the website at the time.
I'm
and
sure
it
we did.
Definitely got like 100,000 views or
Well,
something.
okay. Someone has to keep the lights on. Back 2015, 10 years later, still lights are literally on. Okay.
I think of it as a big premium Pete shoe. I think he.
Oh.
I remember Pete.
Premium.
Pete Loving those. It's a nice shoe for me to wear to like an Oregon game.
Yeah.
Yellow Jordans.
Yeah.
How many pairs of yellow Jordans do you don't really need any yellow Jordans after you have the Lightning Jordan 4s, right?
Or Lightning 17s, which I got too.
Yeah, but those aren't that yellow.
Okay.
What?
It's fine. You're actually right.
What do
You're
you
right.
mean?
You're-
Like I'm some asshole.
No, I just sometimes.
Yeah.
I just figured-
Just let you
disagree.
cook.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you agree you only need one? You only need one pair of yellow Jordans. If you don't even need one.
I only need maybe one pair of fives for the year, and we all know what they are. What's the Oprah gif?
Right,
the
right,
black
right,
metallic
right,
fives.
right. Is there anything else we need to discuss while we're here? Because we're going to be gone for a few weeks.
I don't think so.
Sneakers office S23 downtown shutting down.
The who?
The satellite Nike office that they have at South Street Seaport, where a lot of the sneakers people sit, they're shutting that down to consolidate
yeah, we
everybody at the
definitely
NYH.
we definitely
Okay,
need to
too
talk about
insidery.
Yep.
Okay, okay, read it on my Substack.
All right, so listen. When you see us next, we may be in a new home.
Yes,
I like
we will
this.
be. We will be.
Do you like this, close? You even had some room and you're still close to me.
I feel like the close quarters amp the energy up.
I liked it.
We're really vibrating.
Well, also, my caffeine coffee, the second coffee usually, not that
Is that
my
what it was today?
Not that my energy is ever low, let's be honest. Even though last week, straight off the commencement speech we talked about, but, the coffee is running through my veins right now. So maybe that's the energy. But I
you're
like this.
jazzed up?
Let us know in the comments which setup you liked more, this one or last week.
Why
But
let us know? It doesn't matter.
you
We're gonna have the
never
new
know.
studio built by then.
maybe I'll reserve this one for a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
really?
Maybe.
Like a
Maybe.
State of the Union address you could give from here?
No, maybe when we want to play away games, we pull up here.
Okay.
But listen, we will be off for several weeks. We call a summer break. I expect to see you doing cannonballs into a pool somewhere. You shooting guns, maybe? Listen, this has been the Complex Sneakers podcast. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy this break. Binge some of the episodes. Please like, subscribe, comment. We will see you in a few weeks.